Imagine a teenager scrolling through TikTok at midnight. The room is dimly lit, the glow of the screen reflecting off their eyes. Each swipe brings more videos of peers living seemingly perfect lives, influencers flaunting luxury vacations, and curated images that set impossible beauty standards. Hours slip by unnoticed. Dopamine spikes followed by sudden crashes. Anxiety creeps in. Self-esteem falters. Sleep becomes irregular. And suddenly you realize you're trapped in the endless scroll. Across New York, this scenario is becoming all too common. Families, educators, and mental health professionals have witnessed a silent epidemic. The digital age is affecting adolescent mental health in unprecedented ways. In response, New York has enacted a groundbreaking regulation that requires all major social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and others, to display mandatory mental health warnings to users, particularly targeting youth and vulnerable populations. This is more than a simple advisory. For the first time in U.S. history, the state is legally compelling digital platforms to confront the psychological impact of their content algorithms. The warnings will inform users about risks associated with prolonged screen time, exposure to curated content, and addictive engagement loops. This law represents a seismic shift in policy, acknowledging that social media is not just entertainment. It is a public health issue. New York has a long history of pioneering public health policies. From tobacco warnings in the 1960s to strict seatbelt laws and vaccination mandates, the state has consistently taken steps to protect its citizens from preventable harm. Over the past decade, social media usage among teens and young adults has skyrocketed. Studies consistently show links between excessive online engagement and increased rates of depression, anxiety, sleep disruption, and even suicidal ideation among adolescents. Parents, educators, and mental health experts have been sounding alarms for years. Platforms' content algorithms are designed to maximize engagement, often prioritizing sensational, dramatic, or visually stimulating content that captures attention but exacerbates stress, envy, or unrealistic life comparisons. Reports by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Pew Research Center highlight that teens are spending upwards of 7 hours per day on social media, with measurable impacts on mental well-being. The Social Media Mental Health Warning Act was conceived as a direct response to this growing crisis. Its purpose is to ensure that users, especially minors, are fully aware of the potential risks before engaging in prolonged social media use. The law represents a broader cultural shift, recognizing that digital consumption habits are as relevant to public health as nutrition, exercise, or vaccination. Under this law, platforms must display visible warnings highlighting risks such as anxiety, depression, body image distortion, and addiction. These warnings are tailored for youth, ensuring clear language and actionable guidance. Users will receive notifications after defined time thresholds, encouraging breaks and alternative offline activities. Each warning must link to mental health resources, including helplines, educational content, and support networks. Platforms are also required to publish detailed disclosures on how content recommendation systems influence engagement, revealing the psychological engineering behind addictive features. Non-compliance can result in hefty fines, legal action, and even restrictions on app operations. Within New York State, legal scholars describe the act as unprecedented in scope, comparable to the first mandatory tobacco warning labels or nutritional disclosures on packaged foods. Unlike voluntary industry guidelines, these mandates carry the weight of law. The law has ignited diverse reactions across New York. Parents, educators, and mental health advocates largely welcome the initiative. Many cite anecdotal experiences where teens suffered anxiety, cyberbullying, or distorted self-image due to excessive social media exposure. Organizations like Mental Health America have publicly endorsed the regulation as long overdue. Some, however, argue that mandatory warnings may infantilize users, suggesting that young adults are incapable of responsible online behavior. Privacy advocates have raised concerns about age verification and data tracking mechanisms. Critics also worry about potential oversaturation of pop-ups, which could reduce user engagement or cause notification fatigue. Despite criticism, hashtags like #JustScrollSmartNY, digital wellness, And our mental health warning are trending on platforms such as TikTok and Twitter X, sparking public dialogue, tips, memes, and reflections about healthier social media habits. Tech giants have been closely monitoring the legislation. Meta, Facebook, and Instagram has emphasized a commitment to mental health awareness, but executives stress the challenge of balancing engagement with ethical responsibilities. Meta has piloted time-limit reminders and take-a-break prompts, now aligned with New York's legal requirements. TikTok announced collaborations with mental health organizations, introducing pop-ups for teen users, although questions remain about how algorithm transparency will be implemented. Without revealing proprietary technologies, YouTube has initiated experimental notifications, encouraging shorter viewing sessions and linking to mental health resources. Critics note that companies may challenge parts of the law on First Amendment grounds, claiming mandatory disclosures interfere with free speech or business operations. Legal analysts predict a complex interplay of compliance, negotiation, and potential court battles in the coming years. The law specifically targets youth, a population most vulnerable to social media's psychological effects. Teenagers' prefrontal cortex, responsible for impulse control and decision-making, is still developing, making them particularly susceptible to algorithm-driven content loops that maximize dopamine spikes. Parents are now equipped with state-sanctioned tools to guide their children's social media habits. Warnings and prompts serve as conversation starters about responsible use, mental health awareness, and digital literacy. Schools are incorporating lessons aligned with the warnings, teaching students about the psychological mechanics of social media, recognizing distress signals, and promoting healthy engagement habits. Psychologists predict that such interventions could reduce digital fatigue, anxiety, and cyberbullying impacts, creating a healthier environment for youth mental wellness. While New York's law is pioneering, it aligns with global trends. The European Union's Digital Services Act emphasizes algorithm transparency, reporting requirements, and protections for minors. However, New York's law is more directive, legally mandating warnings and resource access. The United Kingdom and Australia have implemented educational campaigns and voluntary guidelines but lack enforcement power. Transparency, enforceable measures, and integration with mental health resources appear critical. Countries studying New York's model may adopt similar interventions, sparking an international movement toward digital well-being regulation. To illustrate the law's potential impact, consider the experiences of real users. Sophia, a 16-year-old from Brooklyn, frequently experienced anxiety after hours of scrolling TikTok late at night. The introduction of mandatory warnings prompted her to track her usage and seek online mental health resources. Within weeks, she reported improved sleep patterns and mood stability. Jacob, a 19-year-old college freshman, struggled with body image issues exacerbated by Instagram. Seeing warnings that explained potential psychological risks encouraged him to reduce usage and focus on in-person social activities. Ms. Ramirez, a guidance counselor, observes that students now discuss social media effects more openly. The warnings give us a shared language to talk about stress and healthy habits, she notes. These examples illustrate that the law has both preventive and educational effects, potentially reducing mental health crises before they escalate. According to Pew Research Center 2025, 72% of teens report anxiety linked to social media comparison. Studies in the Journal of Adolescent Health indicate teens using social media more than 3 hours per day are 2.5 times more likely to experience depressive symptoms. Early pilot programs in New York show that time-limit prompts reduce continuous scrolling by up to 30%. These figures underscore the law's data-driven rationale and highlight its potential long-term benefits. The New York Social Media Mental Health Warning Act represents a landmark moment in digital governance. It signals recognition of social media's profound psychological impact and the need for proactive, enforceable solutions. Its success will depend on effective platform compliance, public engagement, legal oversight, and ongoing research. For millions of users, the law introduces conscious pauses into the endless digital scroll, fostering reflection, mental awareness, and intentional engagement. It sets a precedent that public health and technology must coexist responsibly and may well become a blueprint for other states and countries. In the digital era, where screens dominate daily life, New York has taken a decisive step, acknowledging that mental health is as critical as any other public service, and that the platforms shaping society bear responsibility for the well-being of those they engage. The next scroll, the next click, the next video now comes with awareness, reflection, and a subtle reminder that your mind matters.